this issue back to you guys to determine how you wanted to proceed with those regarding the county facilities for use by the rodeo. I would also kind of keep in mind some additional factors to consider in this is that our county buildings, to some degree, remain closed, and that's why the second portion of tonight's agenda came up about clarification of exactly what facilities are open to the public and for usage. And so pretty much that's it. We figured it was kind of thought that since the determination this morning was made on that basis, need to reevaluate it, and if you guys make the same determination, fine, make a different determination, but needs to be based on the new guidance we've received from the governor's office.
So what the Rodeo Club in Madison River, they want to use the restroom facilities and the parking facilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
And strictly those two facilities
Right.
is all that we would be asking for permission to utilize.
Right. Because you wasn't going to use anything else to start with. That's all.
No,
Yeah.
we had no intentions of, not in this event. Normally, with a full-scale rodeo, we might ask to use the barn, especially for stalls for horses and such. Not necessary in the event that we intend to put on, and have no need to use the community building, or what I'm calling the community building, either. But we would, which honestly, we kind of overlooked the thought of the parking lot, but that's Derbyshire County property. We can, which was something in talks today, that was something we could work around, but then that would also defeat our ability to separate spectators from contestants, which is one of our intentions that we talked about last week and goals to do. That would dramatically make that more difficult.
Right.
But yes, and then we would also like to be able to utilize the concession / restroom building and for public health reasons be able to have soap and running water.
Yeah.
As opposed to porta potties and hand sanitizer. We think that'd be beneficial. And I'm sorry, Shay. I apologize on behalf of Mike and Patrick for not being able to be here. The understandable short notice of this meeting, they both were out of town with other engagements and asked me to come for whatever reason and kind of speak on their behalf. But Mike also said that if I get in over my head on something I don't feel I can confidently answer, that he'll make every attempt to answer a phone call and answer any questions you have. So if you don't like the answer you're getting from me, or I don't like the answer I'm going to be able to try to provide for you, we're certainly welcome to try to contact him. So, sorry.
My understanding from the conversation last Thursday and then speaking with Jennifer Greenleaf today was that you weren't going to be using the concession stand, just the restrooms.
Correct. We don't have a necessary need to use the concession stand portion of that building due to the fact that we have been planning on an outside food vendor coming in, and that being strictly, and that's still the plan. So that's correct. We do not necessarily need the concession serving area of the building for use. We would like to be able to utilize the restrooms.
That's all separate. Yeah.
I mean, they're separate entrances.
Yeah.
But it's all the same
Yeah.
building.
Entrances and
Yeah.
everything,
Concession
yeah.
areas are not
Yeah.
allowed during this phase because of some training required for food preparation, and so I think that was what he was referencing.
Sure.
Well, and more I was referencing back to you guys' plan on Thursday that you enumerated. Part of the way you guys were figuring you'd be able to make it work within the guidelines was by not having one central concession stand where people are going to be flooding to, and it'd be nigh impossible to keep that
And that is
within
still
the parameters.
That is still the plan, and the goal is to not be running any concessions of our own or of Triangle Rodeo. And therefore, hence the no need for that portion of the building.
You got anything else, Terry?
I think one of the questions that came up was where the beer garden was gonna be located at.
And that's why there was just a touch of hesitation in my voice when I was saying we don't need that. But, I mean, be real honest with you, we can throw some beer and ice in a stock tank and serve out of that. And for that matter, we may simply do that. As simple as that solution is, it also allows us to perhaps do it in 2 areas, one on the east and one on the west, so as to avoid large gatherings of lines and crowds to help alleviate that. So there was a little, when you asked, do we need the concessions area, and I thought, don't want to overspeak, but we really don't, and that may be the best feasible for following guideline solution, and really that's a pretty easy, I mean, that's basically what they're going to be doing if they were using the concessions. It's just the stock tank would be on the other side of the wall.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you're talking more like bottles or cans and not?
Cans, yeah.
Okay.
Can.
Okay, yeah, just,
No.
And we were approved for a cereal malt beverage licensing or special event licensing. I'm not sure of the exact words, but by the city council for this event just earlier this evening, which is something we have to do every year, is reapply for that. Not that that has any bearing on you all's decision,
No.
just FYI.
I think having the food trucks and the restrooms and the beer garden in separate areas again, so we can try to distance those things as much as possible. It is a good scenario, just so we don't have lines, you know.
And that's logistically, that's very feasible, both for public health purposes and for that matter, just for logistics of letting people flow through easier.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm sure we would be all on board on no problems there.
Okay.
Do you guys think you'll be able to comply with the portion of it where, I know when we talked on Thursday, you guys thought you'd be able to have areas that could have up to 30 without having to maintain the 6 feet of distance between every person. Do you guys think you'll be able to comply with that now that it's still going to be at the 10-person threshold?
So that gets into in my opinion, that gets into kind of a strange math algorithm. And the only thing that's strange of it is depending on which angle you come at it from. But basically, if you want to say, the way I read it, which I'm not an attorney, the way I read it is, and I felt like you and I were pretty close to thinking the same last Thursday, is you could have 10 in this area and 10 kind of over here and 10 kind of over here and 10 kind of over here, and we needed to have space in between. Can we mark off bleachers with paint or tape to kind of give those rooms? Absolutely, we can do that, and are more than willing to do that. The only problem you hit is we've done our job of showing you. I saw on the news this morning where in New York City a park had gone in and there's a big white circle in the grass, and it was as much for, hey, here's your area, as much as it was just a visual reminder of social distancing. So we can go in and we can mark off areas in the bleachers and things of that nature. I don't think we're very much able to police people's personal choices on how much they abide by that. Mm-hmm. We're more than willing to mark off areas. We're more than willing to make announcements over the PA system that, hey, we ask that in these times that we're all currently living in that are new to all of us, everybody's health and safety is as important to us as our own. And we just ask that you be mindful and respectful of your neighbors, and please abide by safe health measures and social distancing. And where they go from there is beyond our control, but.
And that's understandable.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the key right there. Is, I mean, it is up to an individual's choice as far as, you know, if somebody wants to shake someone's hand, they're going to do that, and if they choose to just step back and just, you know, nod, that's
Sure.
what they're going to do. But if you can put some things in place that show that you're making every attempt to follow the guidelines, I think that's what we're asking, is that if you could do those things, and then making those announcements.
And we're very willing to do that.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
appreciate
very
that.
willing sit down with you or whoever and determine what's that 10-person gathering area. Is that 100 square feet? Is that 10 foot by 10 foot? Is that 14 by 14? And mark accordingly on what you all feel is the proper square footage for those markings.
And Carrie, probably the one you'd want to speak regarding that.
And that's fine.
For the
Yeah.
health matter. I think, making those appropriate guidelines. And like we all know with the restaurants, restaurants right now have to comply with having 6 feet between every group. Now, is that group going to necessarily stay between there? The restaurant really can't control that, but the restaurant still has to make that effort.
Sure.
The only other question I had, and I will just expose my blatant ignorance on this. The one thing that you guys really do have quite a bit of control over is with the competitors. Is that going to be an issue?
So if you get in the difference of a 10-person grouping compared to a 30-person grouping, where 30-person was not a problem at all, and like I kind of said Thursday, back behind those buck and shoots, you can't hardly get 30 people in there. I mean, you'd be on top of each other. The true honest answer is if you look at any rodeo, that's where every competitor wants to be, and for various reasons, but you pull my rope, I'll pull yours. You help me with my rig and I'll help you with yours. You help keep the horse's head calm and steady, I'll let you know. So there is right there at the chutes, there are gonna be some little conglomerations of, honestly, is it likely to be more than 10 at times? Honestly, it is. Is it likely to be more than 15? Probably not. But and again, we can certainly, there's guys that are there, that's the other side of that too, is there's guys that are there that don't have to be there. There's guys that are there sitting on the fence with their phone so that they can video their buddy's ride. Well, you can just as easily do that 15 feet down the fence. That, we probably have a better chance of enforcing the competitors, because I've seen Mike and Patrick in the arena when they need to be a shoot boss and need to get somebody to get on the move and do what they need to be doing to keep this rodeo going. They're not afraid to tell a contestant, hey, quit horsing around, let's get going, So that's the most challenging. I would agree that that's the most challenging area, is behind those 4 buck and shoots. But it's also where we probably have the most authority on when we ask, guys, you're standing here not doing anything to help. You may not be in the way, where we've kind of tolerated that in the past, but if you're not here doing a very specific job, you need to move on back. If you're done, your ride's over, your partner's ride is over, you need to move on back. And
what is the time frame for something like that? Like you said,
You're
your buddy
talking
might be holding a
typically
rope for someone.
From the time the horse, depending on how well we're producing the rodeo, from the time the horse enters the chute to the time the horse leaves the chute is rarely more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's probably usually a 2 to 3 minute window per contestant.
Per contestant. In my, just for reference, so you know, in my world of like what I would consider a close contact, it's less than 6 feet for more than 10 minutes. So if you can keep
What happened
them,
there?
if you can
Contestants
keep them
on
apart,
outside
other
the
than
arena.
when they, other than for those few moments that they have to come together and they're doing that, I feel like that is okay.
I don't mean this in disrespectful to your point, it's going to sound that way, and it's really not. But in the world of producing a rodeo, if those guys are together on one horse for more than 10 minutes at a time, we've got bigger problems than social distancing. We've got, unfortunately, either we've got a uncooperative or possibly injured animal, or we've got a very uncooperative and naive contestant. We're pushing hard to not have those gaps. We're looking for as much nonstop action as we can have for the fans in the stands. So I would say it'd be very, very rare for there to be a span of 10 minutes in there where there's that close contact.
Well, I just wanted you to know from my end, like if I had to investigate, a positive case, that's what we would be looking
Sure.
at. So that way you can have that in your mind for if you're trying to keep people apart back here, that's why, because we want people to be apart back here so they're not around each other more than 10 minutes
Yeah.
in here when they don't have to be. And that's why, because we're trying to keep that close contact down.
Yeah.
You know, because this is gonna be, you know, a large event with a lot of people, and I think keeping it a peaceful event that we can hopefully like do really positive things with is just a good way to set a good pace, hopefully, for things going forward. That would be my hope.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So I just, you know, I appreciate being able to
And
talk
that's
to you about
something
it.
we can be Mike and Patrick, as shoot bosses and producers of the rodeo, I'm sure they won't have any problem that you tell them they need to be chewing butts a little more often and a little louder to keep those guys keeping things moving. I don't think they'll have any problem complying with that. But I understand exactly what you're saying, and yeah, we can be pretty mindful of that. Hey, we're ticking along here a long time, and sometimes that'll happen too. If you are going a long span of time, what we'll do is we'll roll to a different animal and come back, and honestly, you'll see it when it happens. A lot of that huddled little crowd right there, all trying to get this. Everybody does kind of back away a little bit, and it's as much for the calmness that you're trying to bring the animal. Most of the time, when you're having trouble in the shoot and it's taking a long time, it's the animal is being uncooperative for whatever reason. And you kind of give that space to let them calm down, and then you come back to it. We'll move over here to this side and go from there. But I completely agree with you, and I'm sure that's not going to be a problem to try to police and get along with as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think continue, you know, making those announcements every now and again just to remind the patrons to do that, I think is a good idea.
And reminding the contestants not to linger if they're not active.
Yeah, we won't probably need to make that announcement over the PA near as much as, because that'll be something we'll be policing on the ground. Because that, like I said, we'll have more control and influence over the contestants than we will anybody. Yeah.
Well, have you
You
heard
realize if you take 5 minutes of bull out there, it's gonna take over 3 hours to buck them bulls. You're gonna do it quicker than 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the rodeo lasts 3 hours, it's a long rodeo.
Exactly. We've been
Yep.
in place over the weekend making additions
Yep.
and new modifications to the arena to allow
There'll be 2
more
bulls in the
time
ring a
saving
lot of
process.
times.
We're putting in back gates in our back alleys so that a lot of the prep work that sometimes unfortunately doesn't get done until we get into the chute, it can get done back in the
Yeah.
alley so that when it gets in, the animal part's ready.
Because it won't last over 3 hours.
Oh, no.
It's over before then. You're
They
back.
won't last over 2.
Well, say them drills gonna go through there quicker than you give a long shot at 5
Yeah.
minutes, I'll guarantee you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to make a motion to give them the rights to use the restrooms and all. I so moved the restroom and parking area.
I would second.
It's been moved and seconded, we allow the rodeo club to use the restrooms and the parking facilities out at the fairgrounds. Is there any other discussion on this motion? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. I didn't ask you again, did you have anything more, Carrie?
No.
Okay.
Everybody kosher?
I believe so.
Good,
Did you have any
okay.
other questions? Did you?
Very good.
No, I mean, we're just here to answer questions you have of us mostly. This is,
Did you guys have any questions?
That's gonna help the sheriff's department. They ain't got to go out there and do nothing.
we
What?
wanna put on.
That's gonna help Chris, and they ain't got to go out there and do nothing. You know, they were figuring out a plan to keep the vehicles off, so they ain't got to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, we don't have to rehash arguments. We feel very strongly this is important for the community for a lot of reasons. And we're very blessed to have gotten the ruling from Topeka that we did today. It's very unfortunate that we had to seemingly waste a lot of time to hash it out when a lot of it was out of all of our hands.
Completely.
But
I don't think I ever finalized this, did I? Did we vote on
Yeah.
it? Okay.
We were discussing that earlier. There's a big circle to
Yeah.
just end up right back.
Now, on a totally separate note, but was prompted by this morning when we were discussing the county facilities, just want to maybe make some clarifications on some of the other county buildings, like the community building and like Road and Bridge and stuff like that, on whether those are going to be starting to open up too, in addition with the courthouse and the Commons building. I know Christie's had some inquiries, and so regarding the community building. Figured since we were having this meeting about some county facilities, probably as good time as any to go ahead and address that.
Can we do that now, though?
It was on the
It's on
agenda.
It was on the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Just a reminder that the food bank is currently utilizing
The community
the
building,
community
yes.
building, so we would need to give them some time to make preparations for other arrangements, if that's,
Why don't we wait and talk to them and see how that's going? That don't need to be shut off right now, that's for sure, or moved. They don't have room down here in town to put that stuff, do they?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the stock is at. I was not there Friday at distribution.
So just to clarify then, and I think that was the main thing, not so much to change anything, but just to clarify. For right now, all the county buildings remain closed except for the courthouse by appointment only and the Commons building for the soda fountain.
What about Road and Bridge?
Let's open Road and Bridge up like we did the courthouse on
By appointment
By
only?
appointment only, yeah.
Okay.
Leave the other buildings like they are now. Then we do something with the food bank.
Okay.
Yep.
I can ask Cassie or Jeff.
Find out, what they think is, how much time they lead out there or whatever. We need that may be needed later on more than it has so far.
Could
Yep.
be.
If it drags out.
You're gonna make a motion, we open the road and bridge?
Road and Bridge, I will, yes.
No restrictions?
No,
Well, by
appointment
appointment,
only like the courthouse here.
and then,
Okay.
and then.
If they need to talk to them, just call them and they'll open the door and let them in.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, we open up the road and bridge by appointment only. Is there any other discussion on this motion? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting at
5 minutes.
7:55.